What is the metaverse and how will it influence our lives and work? This documentary reports from people who already have experience with the technologies and ways of working.
Mr. Pete, what do you think the metaverse is? How do you describe it to people?
Well, I've been asked, is it tangible? And how do you answer that question? I guess you grab a hold of it with your mind and your body, your spirit, your thoughts, good or bad. People may not understand the word or the letter 3D. The metaverse is allowed 3D to be absolutely amazing.
Thank you, Mr. Pete.
So I just discovered a little game called Happy Run. It's all about the fitness game. So you have to jog in a stable position. What's interesting about it is that you could reach the whole human body requirements from this game. Like you have to walk in a day at least 2 kilometers.
Do you think that this type of virtual workout is for some people better, or it might be more attractive to them than a normal workout?
Oh, you could not only just run, but collaborate with your friends and then do your daily exercise together. Maybe it makes you keep your healthy life and it makes you happy.
That sounds pretty health promoting.
It's a fishing game where it's very realistic, sitting on the bank and you cast your reel out and fish, and you can bring up YouTube in a little picture over here. It's very beautiful and very realistic, catching those fish and bringing them in. But the idea of being able to bring YouTube and have it off to the side while you're fishing is just, of course, there's no exercise, that's for sure. But it's just the idea of being able to incorporate something else into the game to present music or video or whatever while you're sitting there.
If you go to the metaverse, coming here, we are leaving because we're in a different space kind of than your house right now. Like we're all in different places of the world, yet we're existing in the same room.
Excellent point. In fact, I mean, one of the things that I tried to do during the height of the pandemic, although it looks like we may not have seen height yet, but who knows, is trying to convince the state of Pennsylvania to start a program for people that were suffering from mental health problems because they were confined to their physical space. And I agree with you. This allows you to get out. Even though you're sitting in your chair or standing in your room, you're actually outside.
And I do think that that's super important. Exercise, nutrition, everything like that. And people need some positivity in their lives because the sun is shining all around them. So there needs to be more balance for sure.
But the one common denominator, we're here because of one thing, is because we're involved with the future tales from the metaverse, recording and sharing ideas and thoughts. So I'm so thankful for it, this opportunity to be with people, yet I'm sitting in my easy chair and I'm alone.
Yes, you're not alone. You've got all of us. There is so much here. It's so rich. It's also so new that all of these worlds are still in beta, and so it's really going to be interesting to see what transpires in the next couple of years and how this all turns out. You know, to me, one of the big things is for us to be able to hop from world to world within the metaverse.
Yes, I mean they're all with them all being connected, and I think that's one of the powerful points that we've actually been talking about here is, what is the metaverse and what are the concepts of it?
Someone is doing virtual reality tours of ancient sites So yes, and and they use that, I think, in their literature, that this is a time machine that can take you back, and you can observe ancient cultures, etc. So yeah.
And that exactly brings me to one of the big questions, and I wanted to bring that up anyways today, and that is this point of what do you think is the importance of 3D worlds in the metaverse?
One can socialize, and we can have people from all over the world gather in a space, very much like we would gather in a space as physical human beings, or I guess meat product beings. So I think that's one of the most important things. Well, space is important, but also having events in that space where people can go to and they can find, again, as Mr. Pete said, if you have a hobby, you're sure to find people here that do what you do. And it's really just as one of the people said at our last session, this is the 3D internet. And so, it's really no different from Reddit or in the old days, CompuServe or AOL, but it's in VR.
It's like being in the room. When you look around, it's like you're really here in a very much almost the same perspective as if you take your headset off and you look around the room, you're moving in that same motion, even when your hand is up, like the following of your hand. It's like the realism that you are here, and there's a power in that.
I also would definitely agree that audio is probably as much important as the visuals are, because it's one of these things that we as human beings are experiencing every day. Some things can be heard, some things can be seen, but this all together is making the experience, and being in a virtual world that is giving both audio, spatial audio, that's what we say basically when we are using virtual environments, a spatial experience in audio and visual. I think that this combination is giving this huge realism to our brain, to our experience in the end. And that helps to get into the world and into the topic of the world. So when we're talking about cultural heritage, for example, when we're visiting sites of the Roman Empire, for example, I think it makes it easier to understand and to learn if we are walking around a pillar, if we can hear sounds of people. That is almost my question, like how much can this visual or also audio experience add?
This 3D environment will just flourish, and these type of areas like physics simulation as well as AI, that most of the researchers that keep going, just investment on this area is going to just rapidly involve.
Basically, robotics and AI will replace any profession where the main objective of that profession is repetition. So if you're doing something over and over and over again, AI can easily learn how to do it and do it better than any human being. In fact, that's one of the comments that has come out of robotic hamburger processing restaurants, for instance, that the food is always consistent. It's always the same. And, when a human being makes something, there really isn't any consistency.
I guess that we will have to get around with automation and change, especially in the working environment, especially in the next 20, 30, 40 years. So I guess that our society has to change rapidly. Everything might get more human in a way. Let the computers, let the robots do this simple work, and let the humans take care about humans. I think that
Yeah.
will be the answer.